Hello everyone, it's Kristen Louise here. Now I am here to deliver channeled transmissions and messages to assist humanity in ascending to the new earth. And today what has come through really strongly to share with you all is the notion around, are we at risk of becoming a robot nation? Before we can start exploring that concept though, I think it's important to begin or attempt to understand what it means to be a human being. Human beings relate to one another through our emotions, through our feelings, through our hearts, and through our minds, our consciousness. Human beings are here to interact with one another and the beautiful planet that we get to live on, to make connections between other people as well as Pachamama and all the plants and animals that live here. Human beings have a unique opportunity to experience life through all of our senses. And it really is the full body experience and beyond. Yet what I'm seeing in the world right now is our humanness being stripped away by the powers that be. When I think about it, when you see people walking around with masks on, and I make absolutely no judgment about this because we are each here for our own unique experience, but effectively what that is doing physically is covering a large portion of people's faces. It's also limiting the quality of the interactions you can have with other people out in your everyday environment. We're unable to read people's emotions because most of our face is covered. We're unable to make really meaningful interactions with others when we're wearing this protective gear. It's limiting our capacity to feel and use our senses. A mask is just that, it's a mask. And we have worn masks for a very long time, especially through our egos. But now we've actually got the physical representation of that in our world. Another thing that's coming through to talk about is also social media. Now, social media is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Don't get me wrong. But as I think we're all aware, what we're seeing is a lot of censorship, a lot of agendas being played out. And when I think about it, while we're sitting there, and myself included quite often, staring at a screen and scrolling, it's almost like you enter some type of void or vortex. It's like you get sucked in. And I know personally, I can sit there and what feels like 5 minutes has maybe been 30 minutes and sometimes an hour. And I look at the time and I think, what have I been doing? Where have I been? It really has the capacity to suck you in, to suck our consciousness in. So we essentially become programmed by what we're seeing and reading. It's another form of control in our world that is run by people with a very specific agenda. And the interesting thing is that while we are debating over this issue or this issue, what's essentially happening is we're fighting over the crumbs that are left on the end of a plate at the end of a meal. And we're battling it out with our egos. Who's right? Who's wrong? I don't believe what you're saying. What I'm saying is true. And while we're busy squabbling, while the kids are having a little tussle in the front room, the parents are out the back cooking up an absolute storm, because we've become so distracted by the smoke bombs that are essentially going off in our world at the moment. We're missing the bigger picture, and it's coming. They are cooking up an absolute storm. So while we have all been preoccupied and distracted by our devices and all of the seeming issues in the world, now not to downplay it, let me make this point clear, not to say these things aren't occurring in our world, but they are certainly being exacerbated and perpetuated in such a way as to have a snowball effect for us. So we do become distracted. The media has an agenda. Facebook has an agenda. Everything has an agenda. Even I have an agenda. You have an agenda. The other thing I wanted to talk about before I get to my next point is that while we're distracted, the other thing that is going on for us right now is that while we're not paying attention to what is actually going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain, so to speak, we are also losing touch with who we really are. We're allowing ourselves to continually just be programmed by what we're reading and what we're seeing. And when we do that, what we're essentially doing is giving our power away and allowing others to create our own versions of reality, of your reality. Very shortly, our world has the potential to become a dictatorship as such, where we become, or we have the potential to become a robot nation, where we become unthinking, unfeeling, automated responses. It's already happening, because it's all about mind control and games and self-serving the powers that be. It's not for our greater benefit, that's for sure. So with all of this going on, the interesting thing is when you can look beyond this and you take a step outside of this, is the way that we ascend is essentially through our emotions and our feelings. It's through creating connections within ourselves and to allow ourselves to feel what is really going on inside of us, to allow ourselves to connect at a much deeper level within ourselves and to source and to our environment and the earth that we live on. And yet I find it fascinating that with everything that's going on, it's actually pushing us to do the opposite, to actually shut down these feeling centers, to accept that whatever happens is meant to happen. And we have no say in that. Well, I'm here to call bullshit, because we always have a say in what happens to us. We are not victims. We are not here by chance. We are divine, multi-dimensional beings that have come here for a very specific reason and purpose. And I know for me personally, I have been able to, the more that I open up to this, rather than contract and shut down, when you open your heart even more, the memories that I've had flooding in have been astronomical. a big part of it is about actually letting go and allowing love to come in. And yet we're being told the exact opposite, to shut down, shut it off, shut off the feeling centers, put a mask on and go about your business with severe restrictions. We didn't come here for this. I didn't come here for this. And it's really interesting as well that when people start to speak out about this, which is happening more and more, and voicing our opinion, which is our God-given right to do, that's freedom of speech, is that there's a lot of conspiracy theories being thrown around, which is another fascinating label for really free thinkers. People that are going against the convention and the frame of thought that is being projected onto us are now being labelled as conspiracy theorists. When really all we're doing is exercising our God-given right to have an opinion. We're all entitled to have our own opinions. And my opinion is certainly probably quite different to yours or to your neighbours, as yours is to mine. But that is also our God-given right. And part of us coming together is learning to accept this. It's okay for us to have different opinions. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, that is what adds so many more beautiful colours and complexity to us as a species and as a collective. We're all unique, yet part of one great big beautiful fabric of life. And very shortly we get to choose to enter the robot nation or to choose to become a free thinker and to go within your heart and feel what is true and right for you. What feels good. And remember why you came here. What's important to you? What do you love? Who do you love? And to really tap back into ourselves and our hearts. What's coming through really strongly is it's important for us to disassociate and to maybe take a step back from our screens for a little while and really go back within ourselves and to the most important relationship you will ever form in your life is the one you have with yourself. Because let's face it, you are the only person you're with through your whole of your life. You're born with you, you die with you, everything else is just part of the grand divine plan. So, a few thoughts for today, and I just had to share that there's so many different perspectives on this. There's so many different ways you could go, and I'm not for a second telling you what you should or shouldn't do, because that is not my place. All I'm doing is offering a different perspective on what we are seeing currently in our world, and a little bit of a heads up about what's coming. So thank you for listening today. I hope you got something out of it, my rambling, and I love you all so much. Have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.